All right. First of all, just want to start off again, just keeping Virginia and everyone involved there in our prayers. And I ask that everyone will do that as well. Obviously, just a very tragic situation, and just heart goes out to Tony as well, in having to really lead his team through this. But again, as I said yesterday, nobody better equipped than that man. So definitely heavy hearts all throughout college football and certainly our league, and thinking about everyone involved there at Virginia. And we're a little thin at safety, so Nolan Turner's got a bye week, and so we'll see if he can get a 7th-year exemption to come back and help us out a little bit. But Tom Brady's not the only one that's got a media career after football, so Nolan's getting a little head start on that. But good to have Nolan in town this week, fresh off a win in Germany, in Munich, Germany. So it's a long way from Birmingham to Munich, Germany. But good to have Nolan back in town. I think we got several people coming in town this week on some guys with some open dates. So another great opportunity for us this week. It's always a big week, and again, proud of our team coming off a really good win, good bounce back, and then senior day this week. That's always a special time to really kind of take some time to specifically honor our seniors. I mean, these guys have invested a lot of time in the program. It's a lot, that you go through here. Some guys graduate in 3 years, some guys graduate in 5, some guys get 2 degrees. There's a lot that these guys go through. And it takes a lot of commitment to be able to finish in our program and in all areas. So it's always a fun week to really just kind of take some time and let the players on the team express what they appreciate about these seniors, and then we'll take a little time on Friday as a group. It's always a special week for the parents as well, but be a great day to honor these guys in the Valley. And then South Carolina game, we let them come down as a group. So it's a fun day, and looking forward to that. A lot of opportunity this week for us and our football team, as we try to, again, stay on track, and got another big challenge. Miami's coming off a really good win against Georgia Tech. There's a lot of unknowns with Miami, when you really study them and you try to get ready. They've played 3 quarterbacks, and they're all a little different. They got good running backs. They'll probably get 21 back this week. He's their leading rusher, but 4's a really good player, and 22 as well. They're long on the edge. A couple big receivers. Obviously, Frank Latson, big-bodied receiver that we know that can really run. 88's another guy. They've involved their tight ends well. Last week went to a different quarterback, and it was a lot of quarterback run and some RPO stuff and some screen game built into it. So just again, a lot of unknowns as we get ready for this team. And then over on the defensive side, this is a fast, athletic group. When you think of Miami, that's kind of what you think of. They're aggressive. They're multiple with their coverages as far as zone and man, but they're mostly a 4-down front. And that's kind of what they lean on, is those guys up front, big, strong dudes, long guys. Again, they're athletic and can run, and some really, really good experience with some returning starters and guys that have played a lot of football in that secondary. So, we gotta play well. They lead the nation in kickoff return, so there's a little bit in every phase that you got to deal with this group. And so, new coach, they're kind of, been working their way back. And I think, anytime you're coming off a win, you got a lot of confidence. So going to need a great crowd again. I thought our crowd was a big difference for us last week. So need another great crowd, great energy. And, for us, we got to play our best game. That's just our mindset. We want to have a great finish. And, the fourth quarter started for us last week, and we got off to a good start. man, we want momentum and a great finish in the fourth quarter into the postseason. So just looking to clean up some mistakes, obviously better ball security, and, just cut down on a couple of the big plays that we gave up on some just guys not doing their job, whether it be, playing your gap or spilling it when you're supposed to spill it, or just covering your guy with your eyes on your guy. So a lot of things we can do better, and looking forward to another opportunity this week.
Speaking of ball security, Shipley, is it hard to be such a violent runner while also protecting the football really well? Or?
I mean, it comes with the territory, I mean, that's just part of it. He's obviously had some, but I mean, he's not going to ever change who he is. So he's got to take care of the ball and just be, really conscientious of his fundamentals. And, again, as I said the other day, I think those things kind of come in spurts a little bit, but you just got to keep playing. You just got to keep playing and stay aggressive, continue to be who he is. But there's certainly fundamental things that you can coach and teach, and things you do in practice and drills. But at the end of the day, he's got to let it rip like he always does. That's who he is.
Do anything further on some of the injuries you mentioned the other day?
Anybody in particular?
Well, I know Venables, but what about Bo Collins?
Bo was back in practice yesterday. We're working him back in. So he's kind of, I'd say we're putting him on that day-to-day timeline. Tyler's definitely out. Trenton is same thing day-to-day. The guy that's going to be out is Malcolm Green. He's been battling the growing, so I think, they're going to go ahead and do. He's got to have that lateral release done on his growing area, so I think he's going to go ahead and have that done. Because he just doesn't feel like he can really run like he wants to. So, and then I think that's about it. Is there somebody else?
You say is Green out for the rest of the season?
Yeah.
I think Xavier Thomas had surgery yesterday.
Yep, went well. It's great. Good spirits. Communicated with him last night, and so he's doing good. Kobe probably he was ready to play last week. Not quite 100%, but there's not many people 100% this time of year, going into the 11th game. But he was, it was a situation where, especially the way the game was and ended, we just no sense in putting him in late in the fourth quarter there, just to get him in the game. I think if it was a situation where we had to have him, we would have played him. But I think he got off to a good start. He's moving good. He looks good, and he'd be ready to play.
The broadcast mentioned maybe Shipley something with his hand. Did that have anything to do with the ball security?
No.
I guess with Tyler, does he need anything surgical on that hand?
Venables? No.
Just right.
Yeah. Just got to heal up. This time.
Your team talked about last week being just practices having such an edge to them. How do you challenge them to find that not coming off of a loss? How do you recreate that going forward from here?
Well, I think, sometimes as I said the other day, sometimes you tell them the stove's hot. All right. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you got to get burned, and then all of a sudden you start listening a little bit more. But I thought they really responded last week. It was a great week of practice from a mindset standpoint, and I think they managed the failure well. Now you got to manage the success well, and you've got to just stay focused on what you got to do today on Tuesday, and really just like what we need on Saturday, you got to bring the mentality today. That's because it really is all about today, right? It's all about today. That's all we got, and that's what we say: win the day. We got to win the day. Well, you win the day by being in the now. Right now. You can't be in yesterday. You can't be in tomorrow. Just that intentionality, and you have a choice. You have a choice what you do today, but you're free to make that choice. But you're not free from the consequences of the choice. You don't get freedom from that. So it's just a mentality. It's just a mindset of showing up, being ready for today. And today is Tanoga Tuesday, and it's a full pad day, and there's some competitiveness, and you freaking show up and go to work and get better and try to win the day. And then, you build on that, and then all of a sudden you look up on Friday and you're okay, I'm ready. And then you take it to the game day. So it's just a process you got to go through each and every week, and it should never matter. Shouldn't matter where you play, who you play, what time you play, what the weather is, what the team's record is. Are they undefeated? Or are they, 7-3? It shouldn't matter, because when it does, then you're inconsistent. And but again, they had a good game, not perfect, but we had success. So now let's manage that, just like you managed some failure and some adversity last week. And if we do that, then, man, hey, you look up and you have a great year and a great season, and who knows what can happen.
With Maffa and having the great game Saturday, where in the whole big picture is he in terms of realization of scheme and physical ability developed? I mean, is still the tip of the iceberg way up there for him?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch that game, he had one play. I don't know, maybe Tim Barret will research it. The play was 15.07. Ralston and I timed it. 15 seconds and 7 hundredths? Is that what that is? 15.07. I don't know if there's a longer play in college football than that. Maybe this year. I don't know who keeps up with that, but there's your physicality. And then he made a lot of runs where he just ran over a guy, ran through linebackers, ran through safeties. So I think a lot of it is just his confidence now. I mean, we've seen it. We see it in practice. I mean, we've been like, this guy's he's a problem, and he's fast. People don't realize how fast he is because he's so smooth. But he's coming into his own. He catches the ball well. He's much more confident with that. He's a good protector. And he's one of the most soft-spoken people you'll ever meet. And then he puts that helmet on, man, and he's just learned how to really cut it loose. Really proud of him. CJ's done an awesome job with that room. Those backs are prepared every week. They're the best part of our team right now, I think. I mean, those guys, you just know what you're going to get week in and week out. Just toughness, physicality, relentless effort. So it's a good situation for us. And again, I know Kobe hadn't really had an opportunity to play, but he's a really good player as well. And there's only one ball, but I'm glad we got those guys.
When coaching up a back and growing him, recognition of a whole, I would,
Yep. Yeah.
that kind of stuff. I mean, how long does it take for? I mean, I guess it varies, but is that the thing that jumps out on film?
Yeah, some guys, it's the day they get here. It's just they're natural. Some guys, it takes a little longer to kind of get the feel of, Travis Etienne, for example, had never run inside zone. He'd never run the stretch. He'd never run counter. He'd never run the power play. He'd not been in a backfield spread offense ever that I know of. And so it takes a little time, especially when you're a really fast, twitchy guy, patience. Same thing with CJ. CJ had to kind of settle into that early. You run, you pull the guard, and CJ's in front of the guard. Well, that's a problem. You call a screen, and you got it set up, and CJ's out in front of the screen. Well, so a lot of times he'd still make a good play because he's CJ, but he's a guy that had to really learn. And same thing. He played in an option offense. He had to really learn how to press the blocks. And not cut on air. Because when you cut on air, you put your linemen in a disadvantage because those guys will play backdoor, or the backers, and they're double teaming to a backer, and you're cutting on air, so the backer will play behind and just or pressing the blocks and not cutting back to unblocked defenders like a lot of young backs will do. Or trying to bounce everything, when you should be inside that kick out block of your tight end or your guard pulling or whoever it is on the scheme, So you got zone schemes, you got gap schemes, and it's different. And we do both. So for some guys like Travis, like CJ, depending on what they played in high school, it takes a little more time. Wayne Gallman was a wing back. He was a linebacker and a wing back in Mickey Kahn's high-flying wing T offense there at Grayson. So it took some time. But then you get guys like Shipley, you get guys like Maffa that are natural. It's natural for Maffa. He's got great vision. He understands it. So just a matter, I think, just kind of getting confidence and getting opportunity, and taking advantage of it. And both those guys have done that. They're really true, pure running backs.
Dabo, you mentioned heading into the fourth quarter of this season after the Louisville game. Like, in a fourth quarter of a game, there's obviously a shift in mentality, especially when it's a close game. As far as the fourth quarter of a season, what kind of shift in mentality do you want to see from your team?
Yeah, it's all about the finish. It's all about finishing. That's what everybody remembers, right? That's what they say. They remember November. It's all about how you finish. You go lose these next two games, everybody forgets you were 91 quick. That's just kind of way to, even if you lose one early. We got some teams in the playoffs right now that lost early, bad, and now all everybody talks about is what they're doing right now. Because they're so you got to finish, and that's a mentality, that's a mindset, and you want to be at your best. This time of year, it's hard to do that. Most teams grow weary. The great ones grow stronger, and so we just want to grow stronger. We want to get hot and play our best football, put it all together. We got a lot of lessons that we've learned. We got a lot of information, right? But information without application gets no transformation. So if we're gonna, we want to be a team that shows up and plays our best football here in the fourth quarter. And we've been a great fourth quarter team for years and years around here. We've got a lead, especially when we take a lead into the fourth quarter, and we got a lead going in the fourth quarter. So it's the same mentality. Let's finish, and let's put the season away. And then it's a new season. Then it's postseason, and it's a whole different deal.
And your seniors are 43-7 in the past 4 years at Clemson. What's special about this group?
They've been through a lot. This senior group has been, they've never lost at home. I think that's an unbelievable accomplishment to this point, and that's something that's important to them. They definitely, take a lot of pride in that, and I know they want to win these last two games at home for sure, and I know they want to win the ACC championship. They've won a lot of championships. They've won a championship every year, but last year, we kind of got knocked off the top of the mountain, and these guys, have the opportunity to finish back on top and win this league. So this group's been through a lot, man. They've been through COVID, post-COVID. They've been through a challenging season last year at 4-3, and man, respond the way we did. That team was amazing last year to go from 4-3 to 10-3, and then a 14-game winning streak. They've done a lot of things. They've been a part of the highest team GPA in the history of this football program. All of them are graduates. I think come postseason, we're going to have like almost 30 graduates, and several of them with 2 degrees and double majors, masters, all that stuff on this team. So it's a special group. I love the senior player because that guy has put a lot of work in, and you don't make it in this program to be a senior without being very invested and putting a lot of work in. So just, proud of those guys. And again, always a special time to just kind of see that look in their eye because they all kind of know it's, they've been so a part of it for so long. You kind of get in that rhythm of life, right? You know what you're doing next spring. You know what you're doing in the summer. You know what you're doing in the fall. You've got the next, when you show up, you kind of know what your 3, 4, 5, 6 years are going to look like. And then this is that time where, the sand's kind of coming out of the glass, and now you don't know, and so keeping these guys focused on finishing and really accelerating through the line of their career, I think is is something that we try to help them strive for, each and every year, because it's going to mean something to them. That's what I loved about that team last year down there at the Cheez-It Bowl, man. Those guys fighting to finish, and and then again, they start to realize they're not going to be together every day. Like you don't get to, Nolan didn't get to go play with Skowski. They don't get to, guys live together for 6 years. They don't get to go be on the same team in the pros. They don't get to do that. It's a kind of a different time. A lot of them have maybe relationships and they're ready to take the next step or whatever in that. And, am I going to make it in pro ball? Am I not? If I do, where am I going? And there's just so many unknowns. So we just try to get these guys to really, be in the moment, stay present, and really finish, and make sure that they're prepared when that transition time comes.
You mentioned earlier during the week you have guys talk about the seniors. Anything over the years, memorable things said that jump out to you that you'll always take with you about the things said during that week?
Lots of times, because we'll usually take some time and just let the players, and hearing some of these guys speak about their teammates. That's what you always remember, because it's heartfelt and it's genuine. Our parents, we always give our parents an opportunity to speak to their kid. We do that every year in our kind of Friday night meeting, and I think that's. And the guys kind of always, they'll snicker here and there because, there's mom, there's dad or whatever, and they'll pop a joke here or there, but it's pretty emotional. And, I've had some amazing comments from parents, and it's just a great opportunity, again, to celebrate these guys and to celebrate who they are and the journey they've been on and what all they've accomplished, and just honor them because, it comes a time they got to move on. And I wish I could keep these guys forever. That's the sad part, because you spend so much time with these guys for years. I mean, years. And now they gotta move on. And that's a really sad thing. It's exciting to know that you got new guys coming in and you kind of start that process over again. But it's always a little bit, bittersweet when these guys have to move forward.
Freshman Sherrod Coble, where's he in his development, and do you think he could play more?
Oh yeah, he may have to. We just haven't. He's played special teams and he's played some, but with Mickens and JP and Makuba, they've kind of carried and Tyler. That's kind of been it's just where we are. Those veteran guys, and Coble's going to be a great player, but. Now with Tyler out, that gives him a little more opportunity for sure, and we'll need him to be ready.
Are there any freshmen you've kind of been saving that maybe down the stretch you want to use that haven't used on their games?
Cole Turner, and we've been holding him. We've kept him with us all year. I was just telling Nolan, this kid's going to be a great player. These three freshman receivers, man. Between Adam and Antonio and Cole. I'm really, really excited about them. Just who they are, how they work, just how natural it is for them to play the game. Going to be fun to coach these guys for a few years. But Cole's a guy we've saved all his games, and you'll see him start to play some down the stretch here. Special teams, receiver, you name it, just a little here and there. We'll work him in, but really excited about him. And then we've got a couple other guys. We've got some guys that have played 3 games, like Robert Gunn, that we'd like to hold. So at this point, unless something happened to BT, all bets are off. But if everything stays status quo, then he's a guy. We got one more game with him. I think TJ Dudley. We got maybe 2 more games with him. So we've got some guys that kind of. Fit in there that we could use if we need.
I know Sadler played.
Sadler, same thing. Yeah, we're gonna hold Sadler. He missed a couple games, and we didn't get him in a few games, and then he was out for a couple games, injury. So then we kind of made that decision. All right, well, let's try to hold him if we can. So that's kind of where we are. So, but we've still got at least 2 games with him, I think. But we keep up with all that. We've got it all on our board in there, what we can and can't do, and talk about it each week, and we go in each game.
Last week you said you were looking for some alpha dogs on defense. Did Jeremiah and Barrett provide some affirmative answers on that?
Roof. Yeah, I mean, them boys were barking. That was what you're looking for. Guys were awesome. Yeah, that's what we needed. And I thought Trotter set the tone. I mean, he set the tone from a physicality standpoint. Barrett was everywhere. You know, I mean, his intensity, his relentless pursuit. I mean, it was great. I mean, those guys did a good job. I thought all the guys up front really brought it, and did a good job on the back end. I thought Nate, even though he had a big missed tackle on a hitch, but man, I thought he had probably his most physical game. All those guys. I mean, it was a very hard hitting physical game, and that's the way it should be. But I thought Trotter, and again, this is a first-year starter. He's a true sophomore. He's growing into his own. He's gaining his confidence as far as being the leader. That was a big game for him. I think you'll see him continue to go. Same thing with Barrett and then he's a young guy in there, but man, he don't flinch. Mickens is a tough physical guy. So it's a good group, and again, that's how we got to play. And but those guys stepped up and did a good job.
I know you said at one point the plan was for DJ to move on after the season, or he was hoping to, but I don't think he's listed on the senior day honorees. Do you know what his plan is?
Well, I mean, he's graduating in December, but I don't think that's something that he just don't think he wanted to be honored on senior day. I don't think he wanted to deal with all the process of it, and he's not he's not worried about any of that stuff. He's just worried about beating Miami. That's what he's worried about, which is what he should be worried about.
Yes, going back to Phil Moffa, obviously, Bill was obviously in that recruiting class with him, is a very, highly rated guy. I mean, what does it say about Phil that he was willing to come along with Will, and then obviously you have the red shirt last year you tried to do, and it doesn't happen?
No, I mean, they're roommates, they're great friends, they're close. I mean, I think it's just the norm in college football. I mean, heck, you look at some of these teams, they sign 3 Phil Moffas in every class, it seems. So I think all these guys know, that it's not going to just be one back, really anywhere. I mean, rarely do you see that. Most of these teams play multiple backs. The great teams, the teams that are very successful in the end, they've got multiple backs. And so, you even see that mostly at the NFL too. So I think, he knew he wanted to come to Clemson. He loved Clemson. He'd been in our camp. He knew Shipley. He and Shipley were both in camp. They knew each other, and again, really liked each other, roommates, and support each other. And plenty of room for both of those guys. And they both recognize, we need them. I mean, to go out there and get 35 carries every game is you don't really see that anymore. It's good to be able to have a 1-2 punch where you got guys that you can play in any situation. And but Moffa just knew what he wanted to do, and he's doing it.
I know you mentioned earlier about some teams maybe losing earlier and people kind of forget about it as the season goes on. Just how do you kind of think it should be viewed as far as how you're playing towards the end of the year versus kind of how the total body of work?
I think you always got to look at the totality of it. I just think it's just kind of it's natural to, when you lose a game late, there's just more, you've kind of forgotten about all that other stuff, because you've moved on. If you're playing well, you've kind of been forgiven. But when you lose one late, man, you're on the cross immediately, and you're not as, so you better get back at it and play well. And things have to happen and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, that's why they have a committee to look at the totality of what teams do. And some of these teams that everybody says is great early, they stink. Some of these teams that they say aren't going to be very good, man, they're great. They have great years. That's why I don't ever pay attention to any of the preseason stuff. I mean, and nobody ever does. I mean, everybody makes a big deal about all the preseason stuff and the hype, and everybody gets propped up, and then some of these teams you never hear from them again. So that's why they remember November. It's tougher. It's tougher when you lose a game late. But man, it's hard to be 9-1. Whether you, how many 9-1 teams are there? 4, maybe. 4 undefeated teams, 4 9-1 teams. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to win. It's hard to win. You don't ever want to lose, but just human nature. When you lose one late, you just people look at it differently.
Miami's other 2 quarterbacks aren't exactly dual threats. What was your reaction when you turned on the Georgia Tech film and saw that guy?
Yeah, I mean, they move okay. I mean, Garcia and Van Dyke, they move better than you think they do. But yeah, he's very different. He's big. They're all got size, but he's 6'4", 200-something pounds. But they had a lot of quarterback design runs, not necessarily just some zone read, just some actual design quarterback run stuff that they did with him. And then he scrambled around, made some big plays, broke containment a couple times. Got down the sideline one time. Really, you saw his long speed. He's got some long speed. He's not like Malik, 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, but he can really run. Especially when you, and he's bigger. He's a big dude. So he was a good spark for him. So just, again, we've played a lot of quarterbacks this year. I mean, we've played a lot of guys, a lot of them. I mean, you come into this season and you got to go beat Sims in the opener at their place. You got to beat Hartman at his place. That's a great player. That's a tough out. And we were the first loss for a lot of these teams. And then you got to beat Leary, who's a tough player. You got to go beat Travis. You got to beat Jerkovic. I mean, it's like every week you look up, you're playing a quarterback. You got to go beat Malik. We've played some guys for sure. So we've seen a little bit of everything across the board, and we'll be ready.
When you face a program that's got a new head coach, new staff, how much, as you watch from week to week their game film and your guys study, you're just seeing them trying things, and
Yep.
What does that do in terms of your preparation?
I mean, all you can do is study the tape, and they again, it's I mean, Mario's trying to build a program. I mean, I think building the program right now is probably that's his number one priority, as opposed to what their record is this year. Obviously they want to win every game, but it's probably the most important thing for him. And so there's probably some decisions that you have to make, especially in that first year, that might affect a game here or there. And then when you take over a job, you kind of are where you are, personnel-wise, culturally, discipline, whatever. And you don't just wave a wand and do it. And so he's proven to be very successful in building a program. And I'm sure he wished he could have come out and be 10-0 right now. But man, they got players, and I think you see the progression of just what they're trying to do within their program. And they got Dan Radakovich. Got the fighting Radakoviches coming in here this week. So he's got a great AD that knows what it looks like as well. And Mario knows what it looks like. I mean, he's incredibly successful at Alabama. A lot of success at Oregon. So I mean, they've got a great staff. But I think that when you watch them in totality, I mean, yeah, you see a lot of different things as they're trying to just take their personnel and win that week. But, at the end of the day, that's all you can go on. And they've had some injuries, had some key guys that got hurt, lost 2 starters in the offensive line. And again, just the the situation at quarterback has been a challenge for him. But this is, make no mistake, this is a team. They got some dudes now. They can get off the bus with anybody. I promise you. They are long. They can run. They're physical, and an incredibly athletic group.
I guess you brought this up yesterday, obviously with Tony in Virginia, that just the right guy. You feel like to be there.
Yep.
What from your experience with Tony makes you?
Well, I mean, just how he's been equipped through his life. You know, I mean, he's dealt with a lot in his life. He's incredibly smart. He's a strong man of faith. Tony's one of the best people I know, and I mean, he's one of those. There's not many people you trust your life with. He's one of them, and you know, I just know that God's put him there, you know, for this time, and nobody wants to be in a situation like this. But again, he's all the things that he's been through in his life and the challenges that he's been through. You know, he will do as good a job as anybody could possibly do in nurturing these guys and you know, putting his arms around the Virginia family and just making sure that these young men, you know, grieve and can process things and move forward with their lives. And you know, I don't have any doubt about that. And again, that doesn't. I mean, this is about as tough a situation as you can be in as a coach. But like I said, just knowing who he is, knowing how you know, he's been shaped in his life and his faith. You know, I'm glad he's there for those kids. I'm glad he's there for that community, and for the families, you know, because again, he's special.
Any questions for Coach from Zoom?
Hey, Dabo. Adam. I know it might be cliche to ask about the screen game, especially when the run game is working so well right now, but just, I think Coach Streeter mentioned maybe perimeter blocking, not where it needed to be at times. And was that maybe the next step in the screen game, or is it a combination of things?
I'd say just consistency in the perimeter blocking. We had some nice stretches where we've done a good job, and had a couple last week that we didn't win our matchup. So just a little more consistency there is the main thing. But we've had some big ones. We've had some big plays, you know, throughout the year. But, you know, it's never all perfect. You're always working to get better, you know, from week to week for sure.
Hey, Coach, Scott from Greenville. Look, Miami is not what it used to be, but in your perception, are they still, quote, the U, and are they still a team whose reputation precedes them?
No question. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Miami. I got a long history with these guys, you know, all the way back to playing days. This is a again, they've had some maybe not this type of seasons that they've wanted, but I think Mario's going to do a great job. Again, they've got a great staff. It's a beautiful university. They got as good a tradition out there. I mean, they've won, you know, a bunch of championships over the years. So, you know, my only concern is Saturday, and you know, it only takes one good day, and you know, these guys are capable of lining up and playing, you know, with anybody on any given day. So, you know, that's my focus is finding a way to win this week.